Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Oh, yeah. Here she is. How you doing? Listen, I'm sorry I've been in and out and in, and I know I'm often considered like a bummer, a Debbie Downer, a real negative. But the thing is, since I last spoke to you, I've been really positive. That is correct. I finally tested positive and still am. And so what I thought was true. COVID got me, and COVID got my sister and my brother and my nieces, and Susan is joining us also positively. So,
hi, okay, this is
what? Are you negative?
Well, no, yesterday I was positive, but last night, for the first time in 10 days, I didn't change my clothes 18 times during the night. So I'm hopeful that when I check in on myself this afternoon, that maybe I'm finally...
Well, don't get your hopes up. This is a wily little son of a bitch virus. It really is something. I tip my hat to it.
Me too. Well, once I determined I wasn't going to die, then I sort of began to watch it with interest. But it does every day. One would wake up with a different symptom.
Yeah, I know.
And I, full disclosure, I have not been. My worst symptom was in the beginning, and I was nauseous. Yeah. So I lost 5 pounds in 4 days, and then that stopped, and I slept for 4 days. I mean, just total weakness. But I, who am regularly coughing and sneezing and running my nose, was totally dry.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's just weird.
Well, everybody has their own unique experience with with COVID, and
right. Yeah. Oh, and COVID tongue is weird. And if you want to know what that feels like, it feels like you soaked your mouth tissues in the hottest sauce that you could find, and the burn wouldn't stop.
Oh, that sounds fun. No, I haven't had that. Susan knows that I did have what I've had is my just if any of you are interested. I mean, it seems
we're
like
two old ladies showing our scars. Sorry, guys, we got COVID, and you got to hear about it. Go on, Lynn.
Well, I do. There she's doing it. So I just wanted to say that in some ways, I want to say a few things, but in some ways, it's been 3 years since we've been dodging, pretty much almost 3 years since we've been dodging this wily little virus. And yet I said more than once that eventually we're all going to get it. And there's something, I mean, I'm sort of glad I now have at least had it. So I'm not living with that anxiety of having to get it. Although, of course, I could get it again. But, it's not as mysterious and terrifying in that respect. But I also want to say that there have been some scary moments. And,
well, right. You had a rougher go. You had a rougher go.
I ended up, guys, I was talking to you on Thursday, right? Yeah. And then I tested positive that afternoon, even though clearly, and the doctors think, I was positive all along. So the tests are, and so I ended up Saturday early morning, like 2 a.m., in a Shadyside Hospital emergency room because I couldn't breathe. And because I'm asthmatic, I know, I have a sense of, when my lungs are shutting down, and they were shutting down. So the good news is man, they got me righted, and now I'm medicated in ways that like Susan is not. I'm now on steroids, prednisone, and breathing treatments, and everybody gets their own little dance to do with this thing. I was thinking coronavirus is what the common cold is.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, as common as the common cold is, they've never been able to find a vaccine for it. So coronaviruses
are wily little creatures, right?
They're amazing and are worthy of our respect, without a doubt, in terms of being a very, very they know how to survive and how to be flexible in surviving and doing what they have to do. Very creative, very
and bringing us to our knees. I mean, I could not 2 days before, as we all had gathered at the super spreader Thanksgiving that our mother and I hosted, and I had whipped off my shirt to show my sister and my niece my muscles.
Yeah, she did.
And I was flexing for them and showing them how strong my back and shoulders and arms were.
Yeah.
And then 2 days later, I was flat on it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's humbling, but whatever. I'm hoping that we'll fully recover soon and will not.
Right, and to anyone that's concerned, our mother is impervious.
Yeah, she's the only one still standing. So but I do hope, now I'm starting to worry that, God, I hope I'm not going to be one of those long COVID people.
Well, that's why everybody's asking, hey, did you get on Paxlovid or Paxlovid? And I mean, I got a prescription. I took one dose and knew that I had immediately done something terribly wrong. Because my body quickly told me I had ingested poison and I was 4 times sicker. And I thought, no way, I don't have enough symptoms. I'm not trying this. Other people so I took one dose and stopped. It just immediately made me sicker, which, by the way, they had warned me that it might cause loss of taste, loss of smell, he said essentially all of the symptoms of COVID, so you won't know whether it's this or that. But that's normal. And I'm going, but I don't have any of those symptoms now. Why would I want to give them to myself? And he said, oh, we recommend it. I went, oh, okay. Well, I unrecommended it. But I know people that have taken it who have had tons of symptoms and felt immediately better. So again,
it's individual.
Do not take what happened to me. You just have to know your own body,
Yeah, trust yourself. Paxlovid was not in my picture because they figured I was 5 days in before I tested positive, and it was too late to take it. So I never had to bother with that. But whatever. God. And I do want to do a shout out to the wonderful people in the ER, because when you go into an ER in an urban setting at 2 a.m. on a weekend, you figure it's going to be a potentially crazy place. And it was quiet. Thank God. It was quiet. And so I was given pretty immediate attention, and by wonderful people, just amazing people. Although my nurse Hannah had blood on her shoes.
But I just want everyone that's listened to my wonderful sister Lynn over the years and has heard her various reviews of various hospitals. This is a AAA rating for
Oh man, no, this is, because they've almost killed me a number of times, the hospitals here. This was the greatest hospital experience ever. But it was because it was quiet. I mean, but really, everybody from the guy who got me right in the door to wonderful people, good people. So, all right, enough of that. that's the COVID update. Hey. Oh, I got this just to start us off easy. I love that Metropolitan Diary, the New York Times. Well, here's one. This is for all dog lovers, all people. Susan and I will totally relate to this, and many of you will as well. People who know that dogs rule. Okay? Here is the little letter. This is by Katie Perkowski. It was the Sunday morning in October, and I'd gone for a long walk on the path along the West Side Highway with a friend. We grabbed a coffee in the West Village and sat on a bench on Washington Street to chat. As we were talking, a man walked up with his dog. The dog stopped walking just before the bench. "Come on, Sadie," the man said. "We'll find another bench." This is her bench. This is her bench, he told us, shrugging. As he tried to tug her to the next bench nearby, she walked a few steps, looked us in the eye, and lay down. "We'll go to the next bench." "We'll go to the next bench. It's okay," we told the man. He thanked us, and as we walked away, we saw Sadie stand, trot over, and hop up onto her bench next to her man. So, I love that.
Well,
Sadie,
yeah. I mean, that's a perfect description of what my dog would do.
Yeah, exactly. It reminded me of Ernie. That's a dog who, "I'm sorry, this is my bench. This is what I want. I know we don't know you." And the women left. The dog didn't say a word.
Clearly communicated. Oh, yeah, Ernie would just fix them with a stare, refuse to budge, make me make embarrassing noises, and and very clearly communicate, "No, this is exactly what I want you in particular to do at this moment."
Yeah, it's funny. God, I loved it. Anyway, Chuck writes, "My daughter arrived from California for the big family Thanksgiving dinner, and she brought COVID. My daughter, staying here with my wife and I, we all got sick. Although my wife and I never tested positive, all three of us had the same symptoms. So I think it's safe to assume, yes, Chuck, you had it. None of us went to the big family Thanksgiving dinner at my brother's house, as we were certainly contagious. Today, we all continue to cough, although that gets a little better each day." Well, I'm glad you're... I mean, the thing is the holidays is a reason that the public health officials are concerned, because, of course, these are all potential super spreaders, Christmas coming up and all of that. And I do want to say one thing. Susan, you've been testing like every day, right?
Yeah, just because I'm holding our mother hostage.
I know, but here's what I want to say. You can afford to do that. Our government does not make these tests available. If you do not have money, you can't.
No, they're covered, but actually they're...
No.
You can get them through your insurance company now if you care. You're right.
That's very hard to access unless you want to pay. And I think it's an outrage. So again, you wonder why poor people die more of this. You wonder why, they have jobs that don't let them off, even if they got it. I'm thinking of my son's last employer. 5 days is all they would give anybody with COVID. And even if you were, I'm positive after 5 days of COVID, they would have me come back or not be paid. And then I would spread it to more employees who would, it's insanity. And I saw, we just decided, well, God help us. And Barbara, you're telling me something I don't even want to think about, that it can spread to dogs and cats. And, I have, my dog is wondering why I'm not rubbing my face around his, I'm patting him on the rear end, and he's getting a little blue. We've been sleeping together still. Sorry.
Well, he's been on the bed with me, but it's a big bed.
I'm just hoping. I don't know what else I can't. There's no way I can not be around him.
No, and in my case, the dog is showing absolutely no signs of anything
nor is
except
mine.
extreme boredom. And every time we go outside, he's hopping around and inviting me to let him take me for a run. So, I think he's fine.
Yeah.
And I'm going home tomorrow, just so you know.
Yeah, good. Go home. Be in your own place. Gigi writes, for your information, my partner tested positive for 19 days. Suze, just remember. I mean, no, this can just...
Well, once I go home, it's, once I get back to my own home, it doesn't matter. It's much easier to do this in Chicago. You can order in.
Well, and also because you're... you don't have to worry about, you can order in food, which God knows I've been doing. You can, I know when I've had friends who, drop things off. Sam's dropping more food off this morning. I'm very lucky in that way, but, God, I'm sick of it. Anyway, you mentioned easier in Illinois, and that brought to mind something that I read on Twitter. It was a long thread that somebody put on.
I didn't necessarily say easier in Illinois. I said Chicago. That's different.
Well, I'm saying Illinois because this is a guy who used to live in Illinois and then moved to Georgia. And he wrote of the experience of voting.
Yeah.
In Illinois, as opposed to voting in Georgia, which today, as you know, is the final voting for the runoff election between Herschel Walker, God help us, and Senator Warnock. And this guy wrote of his experience in such a way that it's mind blowing. Can you listen to this?
Sure.
Listen to this. You cannot believe it, and it's true. Not like he writes, man, voting in Georgia is so different than in Illinois. When I lived in Chicago during early voting, I went to the local school, waited in line about 10 minutes, and they gave me a sheet of paper. I checked people off, then I put it in the machine, and I left. Not in Georgia. We drove downtown because every other polling place had a line easily 90 minutes long. We paid $10 to park. We went in the building, then emptied out our pockets to go through a metal detector. We then saw a sign about where to park to get our parking validated inside. We then waited in line 80 minutes. I mean, this is a nightmare. 80 minutes. We got around, in the end, we were given a form to fill out. We were told not to sign it until we were told. Then we were moved into a waiting room where we were given a ticket number, like you are at the DMV. We were told to get our IDs out and wait. We waited here for 15 to 20 minutes. When your number is called, they take your form, they do some stuff on the computer, then they tell you to sign the form, then you get a little green card. You insert the card into the machine. Then you go through 3 or 4 prompts, including a very serious warning about perjury and identity theft. And then finally you vote. And after an "Are you sure?" prompt, you get a sheet and then have to walk the sheet over and feed it into a machine. About half of these machines were working. There was a bottleneck that was clearly the weird that was like the weird application and waiting room thing. There are 24 people at a time sitting to have their stuff checked. It sounds like you can't even understand what he's talking about. Anyway, he goes on to say, think of it as regular voting, except when you get there, they have to run a credit check for every person, like you need financing or something. It was easier finishing my PhD paperwork. I'm thankful for the kind people, nearly all Black women, that shepherd us through this ridiculous process. But man, if you are poor or disabled or whatever, good luck to you. How is that legal?
Well, because we've gotten rid of the Voting Rights Act.
We didn't. The Supreme Court did. Yeah, I take your point. This Supreme Court has done so much damage. It's beyond belief. Beyond belief. And even with the Republicans pulling out every trick in the book to keep from losing, they're losing.
Well,
they are losing.
Nothing makes people want to do something more than somebody else trying to stop them. And I don't know why they haven't noticed how badly this is not working for them in Georgia.
But it does work enough, obviously, or they wouldn't still. It's all they got.
It's all they got, but they aren't winning. The only one that loses is Stacey Abrams, and that's because she's a woman and a black one at that.
Well, we'll see. I assume you're assuming Warnock's going to win.
Yes, I am.
I am too. If he, I happened to see a report that I don't know, I can't remember where she was from. This reporter who was in the rural areas of Georgia talking to the voters there who are all supporting Herschel Walker. And she was asked, well, what do they say about Senator Warnock? And she says, they say he's evil. Now, I was thinking, I can't get that out of my head. He is so clearly not an evil man. And she said they said that Herschel Walker was a Christian and Reverend Warnock was evil. And this is just part of why I'm so frightened about the future of our country. Because you would have to be insane to think that. Wouldn't you?
Well, to the extent that I was paying attention, it still revolves around right to life. And all he has to say is that he's pro-life, and it doesn't matter how many abortions he's procured on behalf of his various mistresses.
I think it's more than that. I think it's more than that. I think they really do think that Democrats are evil. And you think are evil and are trying to take the country down. And wow. I saw this thing about the lunatic.
People have followed false prophets forever. Yeah, and they will, and that's all this is. I mean, just clear as a bell. That's a false prophet.
But it's false prophets that are buoyed like they've never been buoyed before by Rupert Murdoch's billions, by Fox News, by now billionaire Musk's Twitter misinformation purveyor, and all of that. No false prophets ever had the machinery that the false prophets of the right have here. And with a governmental structure and this pesky First Amendment that make it very, very hard to control the spread of these incredibly destructive lies. Doug Mastriano, the lunatic who the Republicans of Pennsylvania found to be the perfect guy to lead this state, but who was, trounced in the election. He put something out the other day that he's insane. These people are insane. He said this: over Franklin County today, There are 4 pictures of airplane trails, contrails across the Pennsylvania sky. And then he said that he believes he went into the chemtrails conspiracy theory. Do you know what that is?
No, I have no idea. They're
No,
secret codes to the aliens in the middle of the earth.
You cannot make it up. It doesn't. Wait, what is it? Airplanes and their exhaust trails. He implied the airplane trails are related to a government plot. He linked to an article about a plan by the White House Office of Science and Technology to study potential interventions against climate change, which includes spraying an aerosol mist at high altitudes to reflect sunlight. And for some reason, this is all going to, I don't know what. What do they think? Poison us? What are they thinking?
That's just, they aren't thinking.
But I just can't bear the arrogance of their ignorance or their fear. They're so frightened, these people. My God. So frightened of boogeymen. I mean, I'm frightened, but I'm frightened of reality. I guess they are too. I don't know. I'm just beside myself here.
But they react like the stupid people in the horror movie. You know, they keep running towards the danger.
They do all the wrong things.
Right.
Yeah. Right. This is something funny. I just love this. So Macron was in D.C., right? And
right.
Then, the French president. And then he went off to New Orleans. That makes sense. Although the French president, I guess it's been a long time since a French president went to this most Frenchified American city. And, New Orleans is a piece of work.
Right.
So he's strolling around. He's enjoying it because it's loose as hell. And he's strolling down St. Peter's Street. And some woman yells out to him in French, "You idiot!" He turns to her and she says, "You idiot! You sold Louisiana for a mouthful of bread." And Macron looks at her and smiles and he says, "I know." But this was all in French, and right. I love it. And of course, he's referring to the Louisiana Purchase, which right. was, unbelievable. 1803. The French sold us. It doubled. I think it more than doubled the size right. of the United States. They sold it for about 3 cents an acre, apparently. And that's when the United States, this was in 1803, this is when the U.S., we owe the French a lot.
Yeah.
They helped us win the Revolutionary War.
They fought with us through a lot of them.
Yeah. And then they gave us, well, they didn't own either, and we didn't own, but they gave us this expansionist beginning of our true expansion. But that brings me, Susan, to a local story that is fascinating. Somebody unearthed a deed that's in Virginia, and it is essentially a deed of it's a sale. It's a negotiated sale.
Bill of sale
of land. Yeah, of land.
Okay.
A hunk of land, sort of like the Louisiana Purchase.
Okay.
And in fact, it was 1749. So this is before the Louisiana Purchase. And it was negotiated by a fur trader along with some representatives from England and the Crown and the Virginia colony. And it's a sale of about 100,000 acres of Native American land. And it is essentially most of southwestern Pennsylvania, including Pittsburgh. It is essentially when the Crown took possession of Pittsburgh. As well as, frankly, it's parts of Indiana, Illinois, West Virginia, Wisconsin, Ohio, Kentucky, and Michigan. I mean, it was like it was like the Louisiana Purchase.
Right.
And they had 6 chiefs of tribes sign off on this thing. They have the deed now. And do you know what those poor Native Americans were given for? The French did better. Here's what Pittsburgh and a huge area around it were sold for. 600 pounds of tobacco, 400 blankets, 460 pairs of stockings and garters, 240 shirts, 240 pieces of specialty fabric, 50 pounds of brass kettles, 600 knives, 500 pounds of gunpowder, 1,000 lead bars. It's interesting that we're selling the Indians stuff they can defend themselves against us with. Right. Well, good luck to them. 1,000 lead bars, 1,000 gun flints, 1,000 needles. See what's precious? I mean, things that... Yeah,
I'm thinking these things have great value to them.
Yes, of course. And this is when, needles, 240 tobacco tongs, 50 pieces of ribbon, 4 pounds of thread, and 120 Jews' harps. Isn't that bizarre?
Well, they're fun. People have loved to make music forever.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. So anyway, I guess this was just unearthed, and they're still trying to sort of, it's held in some county, Augusta County, Virginia, because Augusta County, Virginia at that time took in, I guess, most of what is now the United States now. I mean, who the hell knows? Anyway.
That's interesting.
It is. It's fascinating. But my God. Okay, here's something else I got. Kirstie Alley.
Oh yeah, that was a surprise.
I've never been a big fan of hers, but mostly, I guess, because of the Scientology.
That was mostly because I liked her on Cheers. She was certainly fun to look at. I always liked the way she looked.
Yeah, but the way she looked, there was something sort of pathetic about her. She tried to make money off
of the fact that she got fat actress. Yeah.
Yeah. And she, I don't know, there's something sort of, I don't know.
She was really off. I mean, she was very into Scientology.
Yeah. So she had a show called Big Life. But it was, she was trying to sell diet supplements connected to Scientology. And I don't know. And someone, this was when she tried to, one of her, I guess this is somebody who was writing a review of that, and he says it's depressing to see her with all her resources. It's even watching her squander so much. I don't know. She's she's a real unhappy piece of work, is what my sense always was.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Excuse me. So the Supreme Court case, that they heard yesterday?
Yeah.
The one about gay
gay website designing that gay website design that the woman that's going to refuse service is going to win. Yes.
Yeah, but
it's not even ripe. I don't even know why they heard it. No one's come to her. This is all hypothetical.
I know. That's the thing that I wanted to. It just seems so odd that you can contest a law that, this
hasn't harmed you.
Has not been harmed by the law. She's saying she's thinking of becoming, she's a web designer and thinking of doing wedding websites. But Colorado's law is such that means she would have to do websites for gay weddings. And she wouldn't be able to do that because she finds that against her religion. And I don't understand how something she hasn't even, but we must be wrong, Susan.
Well, apparently we are, but I always thought that one of the things that had to happen is that the issue had to be ripe.
Well, I guess not.
I think they're just doing whatever they damn please. I don't know why we shouldn't just say what we are looking at.
Nope.
They're running amok.
Yeah, well, the case they're doing, I believe, tomorrow, they're hearing tomorrow, is the scary one. I think I've got this right.
Yeah, the one where democracy hits the floorboard.
Where state legislatures can simply undo the vote. Let me. This is the one that's been scaring the bejeebers out of me. This is the case which even that unbelievable conservative Justice Luttig has said is this has a case. If they do what you think they want to do, the court, it would be a profound consequence for American democracy, according to Luttig. The biggest, here's another guy saying it's the biggest issue in a long time, maybe ever, and that is being heard tomorrow. And this is the one, again, from North Carolina, that would allow. It's beyond belief.
Yeah, I can't even say the words.
It would upend centuries of legal tradition. I'm just like.
It's interesting because in Missouri, the legislature has forever been doing this. In Missouri, you can amend the Constitution. You can advise with statewide votes, and starting with when the state turned down concealed carry, and the legislature just said basically, screw you.
Yeah.
And passed it anyway, and it's happened 2 or 3 times. Right to work, and the legislature just says no, screw you.
That's happening more and more. I know in Ohio the same thing happened. They were told their districts were gerrymandered unconstitutionally, and they just kept saying, just ignoring it.
Yep.
Until it was too late, and the election was held with their screwed up. The Republicans are literally out of control. They are. Well, you've got their their hero, their leader, Donald Trump, who just flat out,
called for the overthrow, throw out the Constitution. I
throw out the Constitution.
I don't understand.
He says this allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those in the Constitution, he's saying. And what's he talking about? He's talking about...
he still wants to go back and replay and start all over and turn the clock back to 2020 and let him be president. At what point do a past presidents calling publicly for basically the overthrow of the government, at what point does that become criminal and disqualifying?
What I want to know is how the silence from most Republican office holders about the...
Oh, no, there's more. It's not even silence, Lynn. It's umbrage at being asked to comment.
Unbelievable. He calls for throwing out the Constitution, and they don't have anything to say. But they want us. They want us to pay attention to Hunter Biden's laptop. I feel like I'm losing my mind. I feel like that if we live in a country in which this level of inanity and it's just unbelievable, and at where a political party can take off after private citizens. Say what you will, Hunter Biden is not a member of the government, was never acting on behalf of the government, and it's really none of their effing business. If he did something criminal, call in the cops. Oh, Susan, just wait, because when they start their that's all you're going to hear.
Oh, I know.
I feel sorry for the poor schmo. He's
unstable to begin with.
He's unstable to begin with. He was the second son. He was not the
couldn't
great
live
beau.
up to the shinings. Yeah,
and he was always struggling, and and he's a fuck up.
Yeah,
I met somebody who knows him very well, and they said he's the nicest guy. He's nice like his dad nice.
Yeah.
He's nice and sort of, but he's sort of, always been.
His mom and his sisters were killed in a car accident.
He was almost killed. Yeah,
he was almost killed. I mean, this is the fact that this guy is a little traumatized. It's just, so what's the best thing the Republican Party can do? Jump on the guy that's already compromised.
Incredible.
Well, they're cruel.
God, they're vile. Yeah, they're very cruel. They're very cruel. Hey, and a story that still hasn't played out. This thing about it happened, I guess, Saturday night or Friday night in somewhere in North Carolina. Almost an entire county.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And this was a direct result of vandalism. So the FBI is now is working this case now because it appears that these were two deliberate attacks on two utility substations in North Carolina, and that this would be an effort to create chaos. And the feeling is that it's a kind of domestic. Again, these are probably right wingers. Domestic terrorism.
Yeah.
They're still without electricity. But what I read today, which blew my mind, was that they actually think this might be related
to a drag show.
A drag show.
So they thought that from the beginning.
I didn't realize that.
They can't prove it, but then the problem is that the sheriff who's investigating the whole thing wouldn't necessarily disapprove.
So there was going to be a drag show in a town in this county on Saturday night, and the drag show organizers had been getting all kinds of threats, and there were protests planned outside. And then when the drag show was just about to start, that's when the lights went off. Not just in the drag show, but all over. So it's mind-blowing to me.
Well, what's mind-blowing is that somebody with a rifle can get their way into two substations and take them out that easily. I just, to me, this is wake up, people.
Listen,
They could take the whole grid down with 4 yokels.
None of these sites are protected. I'm sure all over.
They drove through a gate
country.
and shot.
Well,
we sound great. Yep.
I know, but there'll be more and more and more and more of this. There is no doubt. We've got an insurgency, a terroristic, gun-toting insurgency in this country
that was armed by the same party.
Yeah, and protected by the same party. Somebody was pointing out that, after all of these mass killings, I mean, there's mass killings every day. There is no hope that any gun legislation, even like banning assault, not one piece of gun legislation can make its way through the Congress. Now, what does that tell you about a totally corrupted process where the people's legislature has been taken over by lobbyists?
Right. Because they are not representing the general view of the country.
Mm-mm.
And haven't, as this whole arming of the right continued, have not, have paid any attention.
It's amazing. It's just
no. They've just walked around and killed your kids. They've just killed your kids.
Speaking of guns, somebody said something the other day, and it's so true. I know, Susan, you'll go off on this. Women and men do not have equal access to a lot of stuff. I mean, even despite whatever laws we got, women often are on the short end of the stick. But there's one place where there is no doubt that women and men have equal access in this country.
Yeah, we can get as many guns as you guys can.
That is correct. I've never heard of a lawsuit where some woman said I was denied the right to have.
No, they make cute little pink ones to carry in your evening bag.
Little ones, I know. So that is one place where women's equal rights have triumphed. But here's something to point out. Women have equal rights in this regard. And yet tell me the last time it was a woman who shot up a Walmart or a church or a synagogue or a theater or a place of business or a school. Come on, I can go on and on and on. You tell me when the last time a woman did it. So this is one of the things where the gun nuts will say, well, it's not the guns, it takes a person to do it. And I'm thinking, no, it takes a man.
Well, it takes and generally a younger man, and it really, I'll just go back to the brain science. Young men's brains do not develop in the same way that young women's brains do, and it takes young men longer to develop impulse control.
Right. It's known.
And it's known. We know this. it's and why you would then specifically want to arm a group of young men. Why would you want to do it to the young men who might need to be protected from their very own selves?
Yeah. Well, it's too late now because we've made our deal with the devil. It's just mind-blowing. Susan, there's kids being killed here in Pittsburgh every day. I mean, little kids, even 4-year-old girl the other day. They're killing each other left and right, and it's because they have access. Because we are drowning in guns, and kids can get their hands on them, no problem. It's really incredible. And you know, like the mayor says, we've got to get how do you get a handle on something that is this endemic, that is constitutionally protected insanity? And then Republicans will say, we don't need more laws. We just need to enforce the gun laws we have. Well, you've got whole areas in this country where Republican sheriffs refuse to enforce the gun laws we have.
The last two shootings, the last two were where the police refused a request
to do a red flag.
Right.
Yeah.
So now the police are an arm of the Republican Party. Yes.
Well, pretty much. Yeah. And you've got our, I know the Department of Defense is aware and trying to vet people a little better, because they know that these right-wing militias are being made up
of military
and cops. Law enforcement and cops. So that on every police force in this country, you've got these people who do not believe in constitutional protections other than the Second Amendment, probably. And we're not vetting them. We're not getting them out. The Department of Defense is getting serious about trying to. I don't know how. But I know that Pittsburgh has is the number of cops it has right now is at the lowest point it's had in some time, because people have left and they are having trouble recruiting. So you think they're going to throw somebody out because they're a right winger? I don't. I don't know why don't more progressive types bite the bullet and become cops? Does that make any sense? That younger?
Well, I think there are a lot of progressive types that are in
that. I don't think there's a lot. That, I mean, it would be unbearable probably for many of them to
make it through.
Who hate the cops. Right. To become a cop, to try that way internally to alter the mindset. It would almost be like becoming a priest or a nun. It would be taking a vow to do something to help others that would be very difficult to do. But
well, I'm gonna hope that there are a great many police officers among us that want to do the right thing.
Well, I think there are,
and to cast to cast that as just great bravery. No, we just need more of them, and we need a system to root out the others. But the others control, and they control with their violence.
They control with the way they've always controlled, through intimidation, and fear.
Yeah.
And, you see with like the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, there are gangs within the Sheriff's Department, gangs of cops that control. And you think that's the only department that has that kind of thing going on? There are gangs of cops. And these are the guys that everybody else is afraid of, because these are the guys that everyone knows will act, will do what they're threatening to do. And I can't believe that the bad guys win, because I can't believe they get to win because they are willing to, kill and threaten and intimidate. And so we get cowed, whether we're good cops in a department or whether we're just humans trying to live our lives. The intimidators win. Is that the way this is going to work? It worked in Germany when they took to the streets with their guns and their brown shirts and their jack boots. And there are people who are going to try to do that here, are trying to do it here. And it's mind-blowing. And I don't know. Susan, speaking of brain development, do you know that there is a mammal?
Oh, yeah, that eats his own?
Yeah. Did you read about that?
I did. I thought that was very interesting.
Not the coolest thing?
Yeah.
It's a shrew. A shrew. Do you even know what a shrew is? It looks like
it's a rodent.
Rat.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like a rat. It's got a little pointy, little thin body, and apparently shrews are like they can't. Actually, remind me of Sally Wiggin. They can't sit still. Right?
Yeah.
They're constantly moving. And in the winter, a lot of animals, like my fish and others, they slow down. They sleep. They hibernate. They get the hell out and go to warmer places.
They go to Miami. Yeah.
That's right. But the shrew, to survive the cold weather, eats its own brain. Eats its own brain. Not the whole brain. Eats as much as a fourth of its brain, which it then will regrow in the spring.
And thereby replenishing its brain, which holds, interesting medical concepts for humans.
That's right. So if we can figure out how
to regenerate our brain,
do it, then this could be, a way to deal with Alzheimer's and MS and other neurodegenerative diseases. But so how does them eating their brains help them get through the winter?
Well, when food is scarce, they don't have to. They need extra energy to keep warm, I would think. And food is.
So if you make your brain smaller, you save energy,
and you're also nourishing yourself.
Yeah. So here's a scientist who says the beauty of the shrew is that they shrink the brain, but in the spring they just grow it back. And here's the thing, the notion that a smaller brain could be a better brain is a difficult idea for us, because we think, well, brain size is, mine's bigger than yours. We're into big being
right.
The whole thing. But I pointed out a while back this amazing thing about dogs and men, that when humans and dogs decided, hey, we'd make a real good partnership here, that right about the time that we domesticated each other, both brains of the humans and the dogs shrunk because humans no longer had need of as much brain because they didn't have to like sleep with one eye open.
Right.
Because the dogs were doing that job for us. And dogs didn't need as much brain because they didn't have to worry about where food was coming from because we provided them. And so both animals saw their brain reduced, but it didn't make us stupider. It made us more efficient. Interesting stuff.
And happier for those of us that have animals.
Yes, indeed. Okay, well, I think we're done. Sue, thank you. This was the COVID special.
Feel better. I'm going to support you in all of your negativity.
Let's hope for a little more negativity in our lives.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Good luck.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, same to you. Bye.
Yeah, bye. Okay, guys. Well, every day is different, but I think I'm good to go. I hope, dear God. But as I said, this is a wily little son of a bitch. And 1 minute you're thinking I'm getting on top of this, and the next minute it cuts your legs out from under you. But I'm anyway. I think I'll be here tomorrow, and I'll look forward to talking to you. Have a good one.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.